just, yeah, not letting the failure get in the way and just being okay with that being part of your journey and remembering your why to keep that fire, to keep that passion, to keep you getting to that next success.
What's up, everybody? This is Fred Richani. We have right here via Zoom a very special guest. She's a pioneer of American Ninja Warrior. She's a former gymnast. She is the longest reigning NXT Tag Team Champion. Oh yeah, she's also a former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion with Kayden Carter. We are talking to New Jersey's own Kacy Catanzaro, better known to wrestling fans worldwide as Katana Chance. Kacy, thank you so much for the time. How's everything going?
Wow, what a nice intro. Thank you. I'm doing amazing and so excited to talk to you.
Likewise, thanks so much for hopping on. I know you just had a very busy European tour, and right after that, WrestleMania 41 weekend, a lot of media commitments, meeting a lot of fans. How's your body and mind feeling after that whirlwind?
Great, super grateful. It was really exciting. We got to go to London, which was really, really cool. And then I just got back from Vegas last night. So today has been a little bit of a whirlwind, but it's been really exciting. And we got to do so many incredible things there. So it was really fun. Definitely tired, but I have a couple days, before we leave again. So just doing the rest and recovery training, and then we'll be back at it.
For sure. And you two showed out in that tag team turmoil match, the gauntlet match. I know it didn't go your way and you ended up in WrestleMania, but what did it mean to kind of get that reaction, not only from the fans, but from what Kayden told me, getting a lot of props in the back from your peers?
It was really cool. We obviously wanted to win that match. We wanted to go to WrestleMania. It wasn't our moment, and that's okay. But I think that it really goes to show you that wins and losses are not all that it's about because, we lost that gauntlet match. And I can't remember the last time that we got that much support online, in the back, anything like that. It was one of our shortest matches, but we went hard. We showed out. We had a good attitude, and we had a lot of people that we really respect tell us how great they thought we did. We had a lot of people online that really supported us and that wanted to have our back, and it was really amazing to feel that way. So I loved it. I can't wait to get another shot out there and just keep showing people what we got.
I love that. And we talked off the air about our mutual love for The Sopranos. And of course, Sopranos was an iconic ensemble cast. WWE, in a lot of ways, is like a sports team and an ensemble cast, right? You always got to be ready when your number is called. So, does that respect you got from the fans and peers just motivate you even more to keep going?
Yes, of course. I mean, it has to go both ways, right? Because there are some times where you're like, okay, I can't dive into this internet stuff. I can't get sucked into what people are thinking because a lot of times it will be negative. And even when we got a lot of support this past week, there were still people that were negative. There always will be. So it's hard to say like, oh, like I'm gonna look for that and it's gonna really push me along because when you look for it, it might not always be there and it might not always be positive and it might not always be what you want to hear. But when it is, it's kind of nice to soak it in. So it's been a little while since we've really had people be able to rally behind us. I would say the last time was really back in NXT before we won the titles finally. You could really feel the people start to get behind us, start to see our journey and appreciate our journey and all of the ups and downs and how hard we were working. So that was kinda the last time we really, really felt it, so it's nice to feel that little bit trickle back in of people realizing, like, "Hey, this team is working really hard, they're showing us really incredible things, and they deserve a shot," so it's definitely that extra little push, that extra little fire to light under you to just keep going.
You two are not just, of course, known for your wrestling, but you're known for also going viral on TikTok. And in your case, you're a female pioneer for contestants with American Ninja Warrior. You were a standout gymnast in college. These days, what are you more known for? When you're in public, do people stop you and say, "Hey, Katana Chance," or do they say, "Hey, Kacy from American Ninja Warrior"?
It's tough. It's kind of both, and I will say it depends on, like, the situation. You know what I mean? So if I'm somewhere where I'm with all wrestlers, then obviously it's more so like, "Oh, Katana and Kayden together with these wrestlers," and it's, like, more noticeable? But if I'm just somewhere by myself, I would say, like, half the time. I'd say half the time it's like, "Oh, like, you were an American Ninja Warrior," and they remember that. Even when we were doing some of our appearances this week, with the wrestling fans, a lot of them, when they would walk up, would be like, "And I loved you on American Ninja Warrior." So it's nice to kinda see a little bit of both. And it's funny because when people say that, sometimes it's young kids saying it, and I'm like, "How old are you?" Because that was a long time ago. In my head, I'm like, "Wow, that's really cool," because I feel like It was such an incredible moment in my life, doing American Ninja Warrior, making history there, and I know that in the moment it felt like a big deal to people, and I was very grateful, but somewhere in my head, I thought it was gonna kinda, like, like, it was kinda gonna get, at some point, it would have been so many years ago, and people would have been like, "Okay, we're on to the next thing," so it's really nice to see that people are still able to care about that, and that still means something to people because it'll definitely always be a very special place in my heart, so
You and Kayden have gone viral multiple times. Do you get any young fans stopping you about TikTok at all?
it's so funny because I feel like when COVID hit, Kayden was like, "Okay, like, I'm getting TikTok, we need to do this." I wasn't against it, I just wasn't, like, fully on the train, I wasn't, like, as, gung ho about it as she was, and I'm like, "Okay," we started doing some fun ones, and then I'm like, "Alright, I'll get one, we'll go back and forth, we'll do some fun ones." She was definitely, like, the driving force behind it, like, "No, this TikTok is so cool," and then once I got it and we started doing all these fun videos, I'm like, "This is really fun," and it almost, like, helped during COVID too because it was such a rough time that we would get together and make these videos, and it just gave us something fun to do, to be together and bond with a couple of our other friends where instead of kinda sinking into that COVID hole, we were like, "Alright, this is, like, something to get up and get ready and get dressed for and have fun and have other people laugh and make other people happy during such a difficult time." So, that's where I kinda, like, fell in love with it. She definitely more so like, when we're standing in line or something and someone will be like to her, "I love your TikToks," and to me, they'll be like, "I loved you on Ninja." So, like, it's cool that we each kinda have our own thing, and then we have things that we do together, and the people really notice that, and they seem to enjoy it, so I feel like it's a good balance.
Definitely a good balance, and you've certainly lived quite a professional life. Now, a lot of people know, of course, you went from American Ninja Warrior to WWE Tryout, but what some people may not know is that you also did stunt work roughly 10 years ago for Maze Runner. So at that time, were you looking to get into acting and stunt work, and was that on the table for you as a career before you decided to dive headfirst into pro wrestling?
That's so funny. I don't think anybody's ever asked me this or even known that, so you might have done some good research. But when I was doing American Ninja Warrior, a lot of the ninjas at that time were stunt workers because it just made sense, like the crossover, a lot of them were athletes, parkour, runners, rock climbers, and stunt people. And so getting into American Ninja Warrior, it's not something I'd ever thought about before 'cause I loved Ninja Warrior, like, that's what I watched growing up, that's what I wanted to do. When I finished my gymnastics career and needed something new, like, that was my goal, and then when I really got into it and started training with the ninjas, they were doing stunt work, and they were like, "Wow, like, you're really small, you're athletic, like, sometimes that could be a really good, like, niche for stunt people, and would you be interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, like, I'm down for" and at that point, I'm like, we're training for ninja full time, but you're only competing a couple times a year. So I'm like, yes, definitely looking for stuff to get into. I always love a new challenge. And so it was some of my ninja friends that had gotten me into doing some stunt work, which was really, really cool. And then I also was able to do Stone Cold's Broken Skull Challenge which was really, really fun. Got and I loved meeting him obviously before this was before I was in WWE, so, like, that was really cool. And then when WWE came to me, I had watched wrestling growing up, but I had never, like, watched it and thought to myself, like, "I can do this." Like, I'm so tiny, like, all the things in your mind that hold you back, so when they came to me, I was like, "You want me in the ring? What do you mean?" Like, this was, like, 8 years ago. Well, actually, no, this was, like, 10 years ago, I would say. And, because when they first came to me, I wasn't able to go. I was still under contract with American Ninja Warrior. WWE wanted me to do Tough Enough, which is another reality show, so I wasn't able to, like, do Ninja, which was a reality show, and Tough Enough. So I had said I can't do it. They came back the next year, and then finally after that, they were like, "Well, you don't have to do Tough Enough. You can come to the Performance Center and see it for yourself, if you're not able to do the reality part of it." And so that's what really brought me into it. I needed to feel like I was ready to leave American Ninja Warrior. I did it for 5 years, and it was such a huge part of my life that I kinda needed to go on my own terms. And so when I felt like I was ready to kinda step away to something new, that's when I went to the Performance Center. They had said they were doing their own, like, women's evolution. They wanted me to see the Mae Young Classic, which was the all-women's tournament, so that was really, really cool, and then, the next year, I was in the Mae Young Classic, and it was just, like, craziness.
I would imagine when you were getting into WWE, it's a brave new world. You're like, what the heck is going on? But was there anybody that you trained with or got to know that kind of helped you along the way? Somebody that you kind of looked up to and said, all right, you know what? They're setting the precedent for me to succeed.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, me coming in, not having any wrestling background before, and like I said, I had watched wrestling growing up. Me and my sister, she's 2 years older than me, Jess, like, we loved watching. We'd watch it in our basement and, like, wrestle around, like, we loved it. And then, when I went on my gymnastics journey on American Ninja Warrior, I wasn't as involved. I didn't know who was there or what was really happening. I had my favorites growing up, but I was just on a different path. So when I got to the performance center, I've said this before, right now, if you go to the performance center, there are tons and tons of athletes that came from a different sport, that came in together, that, they have their group, and now it's very normal to be at the performance center and not really know anything about wrestling. Whereas when I came into the performance center almost 8 years ago now, it wasn't very normal. There were a few, and there are a lot of superstars now that started at NXT like I did, and they were definitely big inspirations to me, like Bianca or something like that, where they came in as an athlete and they were built up at the performance center. So that was nice to see. But it was very, it was very, very difficult coming in. My class that I started with, they had been wrestling for, like, over 10 years each. You know what I mean? Like, I came in with Candice LeRae and War Raiders and Spud and people that, like, had been wrestling forever, and I was very much like, "Okay, like, what am I gonna do here?" Like, "Okay, I'm just, like, learning the roles and learning all of these things." So, it was definitely really tough, but I will say, having Candice in my class really, really helped me. Obviously, she wasn't in my class for long because, like, we did the beginner and then people got moved and she was so experienced, but coming in with, like, over a decade of experience, she was so good to me, and she definitely helped me feel really comfortable even when she didn't have to. You know what I mean? Like, she had been wrestling for decades to get to this moment, to be there, and then, like, here I come. She didn't know who I was, she didn't know why I was there, and she was very, very good to me. So she's definitely someone that I've always looked up to. She's a hard worker. She worked very hard to get there. She continued to work hard once she was there, and she was always very, very kind to me. So she's definitely someone that, like, has a special place to me.
That's great. Shout out to Candice LeRae. And yeah, I don't think a lot of the younger fans may realize, right? She's obviously had a number of women's wrestling matches, but prior to going to WWE, I think she had more matches with men. So she really paid her dues on the indies before getting there. So, hey, great to learn from a veteran like her, right? I'm sure she passed along a lot of knowledge and helped you along the way.
And I have only seen, like, slight things, like, obviously very viral ones of her wrestling the guys and stuff like that, but I just can't imagine, like, just from seeing matches or little stories, like, that's only a small clip of what she went through and how much she fought through to get there, and yeah, so she's a huge inspiration to me.
As for you, so you cut your teeth in NXT, you did the Mae Young Classic, you were a singles for a while, and then you eventually got teamed with Kayden Carter. Was there any point in time where you really, I know you're always learning, but was there any point in time where you really feel like it clicked and you had like an aha moment, like, okay, I'm really starting to get this now. I really can make this a career.
That's such a good question, and it's such a difficult question because I feel like those moments happen kind of a lot because, like, there's always so much to learn that it's like, obviously, at first, it's very difficult, and it feels like, "Man, am I not getting this? Like, this is so difficult," and there's so much. There's the crowd, your opponent, yourself, your own things, your characters, your whatever, and so for me, my first moment of, like, aha, like, why people love this was the Mae Young Classic because it was the first time that I really got to feel the environment of performing in that way and there being a crowd in that way. Like, I had done, wrestling matches at the performance center and I had done a few live events to get experience, but like the actual Mae Young Classic experience of like the crowd at Full Sail and like the people and making them care about you. And, for me, I was new. So when I walked out, it's like people aren't going to know me. They don't have to cheer for me. So to come out and be brand new and then throughout the story of the match, get people to care about you and actually feel like you're getting them behind you and you're doing your job and they want you to, whether you win or lose, like they're behind you. I think that was the first moment that afterwards I was like, whoa, I think I get why people love this. Because before that, I was just at the performance center. I didn't get any indie experience. I didn't get any of those crowds or any of those moments. So I was like, wow, I really get why people love this. And then, it kind of trickles from there. You learn different things. Then, when me and Kayden got to be a team and do stuff as a team, obviously there's so much more to play off of, so much more story that you can do there, again, with the crowd and getting them behind you. So I feel like, honestly, I kind of have those moments all the time. But I would say my biggest one was Mae Young Classic, my first introduction to like, oh, okay, like this is the feeling that people are continually chasing after.
Yeah, and hey, the great thing is it only went up from there, right? There's some ebbs and flows, but longest reigning NXT Women's Tag Team Champions with Kayden Carter, probably never matched again. And then, of course, winning the main roster women's tag team titles as well, and really gelling as a unit. And it's interesting because Kayden herself is a former athlete, and well, still an athlete, but the former collegiate athlete, won a national championship, Division II basketball. Of course, you were a stand-up gymnast and did American Ninja Warrior. So, do you feel like your backgrounds not only helped you two get along, but also helped deal with a lot of the media attention you get being a WWE superstar?
I would say so, and it's funny because our backgrounds are so different, but when you're an athlete, like, you're an athlete, you know what I mean? So when you we might not have done the same sport, but it's a similar type of work ethic that has to be put in. You have to be in the spotlight, you have to talk to people, you have to be well versed in that, you know what I mean? You're not just being put in front of a camera for the first time, you know what I mean? So I think that that definitely helped us, and I think coming from different sports and different backgrounds is actually part of what made us so strong and so different and unique. If we had grown up and done the same thing and done the same sport, like, we might have the same ideas, we might have the same thoughts, and coming from 2 completely different sports, coming from 2 completely different backgrounds, where we grew up, the way we grew up, all of that being put together, I think it really, really is why us as a team is so unique and why we're able to show people things that they haven't seen before.
You can check out Kacy and Kayden Friday nights on SmackDown on USA Network. Kacy, you've been so gracious with your time. Before I let you go, we always like to ask all our guests some kind of random and rapid fire questions just to get to know them better. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Rapid fire stressful. Okay.
Rapid fire and random. So you got some time. Uh, all right. Favorite late night snack and cheat meal?
Oh, favorite late night snack, I would literally have to say, like, mac and cheese.
Hey, hey, it's a classic. Can't get
Classic.
on that. Favorite spot in New Jersey? Could be a diner, a hole in the wall, a landmark. Where are you going to when you're in town?
Oh, wow, that's a really good question. In New Jersey, like, honestly, I'm gonna say home. I'm just gonna say my parents' house because whenever I'm there, that's the only place I wanna be is my parents' house. Final answer.
All time. I'm sure they'll appreciate that one. All time favorite wrestler.
I'm gonna have to say Triple H.
On another WWE note, who's the funniest person in the locker room?
Ooh, that's tough. Who is the funniest person in the locker room? I would
Besides you and Kaden, I know you two are pretty entertaining.
Okay, because I would say Kaden. Alright, besides us, I'm trying to think because I kinda just switched locker rooms when I went to SmackDown, you know? I would have to say Chelsea. I would have to say Chelsea. She's just I think she's hysterical.
Yeah, and I know the Secret Service has been giving you some trouble, but they're pretty entertaining too.
Yes, can't deny it, can't deny it.
All right, we talked about The Sopranos for a little bit. I'm gonna ask you, who is your all-time favorite Sopranos character?
That's tough. I'm gonna have to say Syl,
Okay.
and that's really tough because I, like, went through 5 in my head, and it's funny because at first, like, my boyfriend would say how much he liked him, and I'd be like, "Oh, like, I don't know, he hasn't really, like, gotten to me yet," and then at the end, I was like everything he did, I was like, "Ah, man, he's the best."
He is, and you know he played for Bruce Springsteen's East Street Band.
Wait, you know what? I didn't know that, and then I think afterwards, somebody was showing me stuff, and I was like, "Wait, this is so cool." And he just, like, got into it. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, hey, he didn't have a background in acting. They offered him a role, kind of like you didn't have a background in WWE. They liked your work so much, they said, "Hey, come to WWE," and worked out for both of y'all.
Maybe that's why I connect with him. Maybe I knew deep down our journeys were similar.
There you go. What's your most awkward moment as a WWE superstar? Could be something wacky, funny that happened in the moment. I'll give you an example. Kaden told me that when she went to give a high five to a fan on TV, they pulled their hand away.
I would say there's probably so many. I think I'm, like, very awkward because sometimes I'm just, like, in my head thinking of stuff and things are happening. I would say there's so many. A common one, I would say, to go off of what Kaden said, a very common one that happens semi-often is me doing this for Kayden to pound it and her walking away. That happens, like, not often, but it has happened a good handful of times where, like, say, depending on the entrance or, like, the time they give us for our entrance to get out there, and then, like, usually we stop and do this pose, but maybe a camera's there and I'm like, "Alright, cool, we're gonna do this pose," and then she's gone, and I'm like, "Well, alright, cool." Like, I would say that that's happened a good amount of times, other than, obviously, like, within matches, random things happening, but I feel like that doesn't really count because 'cause you're, like it's then not awkward, right? It's just you're in the moment, so I would say, yeah, definitely, like, during the entrances, and I've definitely had fans too do the same thing where, like, they have their hand out, you're going to give a high five, and then they pull I'm like, "Okay, like, I'm a good guy, like, why are you trying to make me look dumb?" You know what I mean? I forget, something happened one time, and I was just in a mood, and I feel like a fan said something, and I said something back, but I can't remember, but similar things where you're like, "Okay, we're doing this right now? Alright." But I'm gonna stick with the not being there for the pound it, yeah.
Hey, the fans are great, but sometimes I feel like when they get on camera, it's like, oh, now's my chance to go viral or
They're
something.
like, "This is my moment to make you look dumb." I'm like, "Alright, do you." And then I don't you know what I mean? It's what it is, but nothing too bad, luckily, I'm sure there could be way worse awkward moments, so I will take that.
There we go. We talked about Maze Runner earlier. Have you looked into doing any kind of acting either when your WWE career wraps up or simultaneously?
It's not something that I've really, like, dreamt of or sought after or anything like that. I have had a few moments where I've had certain offers for different things that just in the moment they weren't the right thing for me, but then they are something that I'm interested in, you know. I love the entertainment world and I've been in it in a lot of different ways now, so I'm definitely not stuck in one thing or, you know, don't have I'm definitely open to anything. So, I guess it just depends, you know, I think I'll know if the moment or the opportunity is right, but definitely open for anything.
All right. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye out on your IMDb for sure.
Yes.
What's your best piece of advice for success?
If I had to, like, shorten it to make it just, like, something that everybody could hear, it would just be that failure is part of success. It's not the opposite of success, and I think a lot of people think that when you fail, like, you're not succeeding, but failure is literally the entire journey, you know, up to succeeding, and especially for professional wrestlers, there's no, like, just one moment of succeeding, and then you're like, you just like, it's just a continual you succeed, and then you're gonna fail, and then you're gonna work your way up to six there's always that next thing to be chasing. So for me, I would say it's just, yeah, not letting the failure get in the way and just being okay with that being part of your journey, and remembering your why to keep that fire, to keep that passion, to keep you getting to that next success.
Amen to that. Couple bonus questions. Is there anything you wish I asked you in this interview?
I feel like you asked me more than I even thought of. I feel like you did a really good job. Things that I was like, "Wow, nobody's ever asked me this before." Um, so I don't think so. I think you really nailed it all.
Appreciate that. Thank you. And I waited till the end of the interview to ask this because this is such a specific question to only New Jersey. I don't want to turn off any of the viewers and listeners here. All right. This is probably the most important question of the show. Okay. Are you ready?
Oh, hit me with it.
All right. Pork roll or Taylor ham?
I was like, "What are they gonna ask?" I say Taylor ham.
Uh,
I say Taylor ham. What about you?
I say pork roll, but it's okay.
Actually, it's funny, my dad has a shirt that my sister gave him, and it's, like, fighting they're, like, they have, like, boxing gloves, and it's, like, Taylor ham and pork roll, and they're, like, fighting over which one it is. I say Taylor ham. I'm like, "Taylor ham, egg, and cheese on a bagel. Dream."
There you go. There you go. Actually, if I may, just one more other question just popped in my head because you talk about how you came from different background from Kayden Carter, who's Filipino and black. You're Italian. Your boyfriend is Moroccan. A lot of very multicultural there. So have you picked up any languages since hanging out with those two?
You know what's funny is I said I before we went on air, we spoke earlier that my boyfriend speaks like 4 languages, and I'm like, "I'm barely speaking English over here." So the answer is no, but I think that I think I wanna learn Spanish because I feel like a lot of people around me can speak it, and so I just need people hit me with it, like, "Where should I go? Is it an app? Is it a book? How should I learn it?" Because I feel like I should know more than 1 language, and that should be my next goal.
All right. Well, hey, I believe in you. You've succeeded so far. And look, WWE just bought AAA, so wouldn't hurt if there's an opening there, right? To do some shots.
Okay, you're right. Okay. Well, then I need to get on it ASAP. So hit me with it. Where is the best, easiest, most fun way to learn Spanish? Let me know.
All right. We'll put it out there. We'll get you the information.
Yes, please.
Amazing. Well, Kacy, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure learning about your journey, learn about your background, and all the great work you've done up to this point. Before we let you go, where can fans find you online, and where can we find you next?
Oh, well, thank you. It has been so fun chatting with you. Oh, this is tough because when I changed my name, I feel like I don't remember. I think it's at Katana underscore WWE on Instagram. And then I'm literally gonna look because this is how not good at technology I. Oh, by the way, I still call it Twitter. Are you calling it X?
Yeah, yeah, it's still Twitter. Yeah.
That's the same, Katana underscore WWE. And then what is my TikTok? Let's see. I think my TikTok is just at Kacy Catanzaro. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Kacy Catanzaro, or you can search Katana Chance. I'm sure that'll come up for sure. So there you go. Okay, Casey, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. Best of luck with Kayden Carter. Looking forward to seeing you again on SmackDown very soon.
Thank you so much. So nice talking to you.